internet's playing up, so we haven't actually gone live yet, so bear with us.
Okay.
Might just be an issue at this end. The weather's playing up, so it could be that. Right,
I'll give it full blast on my phone. I'm not touching it.
You're fine. You're fine. It might just be this end. I mean, there's no problems with the signal, but it might just be the internet just needing a kick in. Well, give it another go. Here we go. No, definitely not. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove us out of the room, and I'm just in case, because I don't want an embarrassing situation where that works and then it doesn't work. So I'll put it back. We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What that said coming over you. You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine, because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good afternoon, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the Joe Allon Show, and joining us today is Joseph. How are you?
Very good, Steve. Thank you very much. How are you?
Very good, mate. Good to see you. What a stop-start there. And lots of people. Darren goes, I thought the show had finished and seeing Steve at the start, then the credits rolling, and came on early at our end, just not for Steve. So, yeah, it's, well, there you are. You've had an extra 2 minutes with me and Joe probably chatting. Good job we weren't saying anything we shouldn't have been. But there we are. We are live, and technical problems over here to talk about Newcastle United for the next hour. Looking back at the Man City game. And, of course, looking ahead to the game tonight against Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup, and then looking ahead to the Everton game at the weekend. So plenty to talk about. Got any questions? ping them over to me, and we will have a chat about whatever you want to know. But Joe, let's look back at the weekend first of all. Manchester City at home, a big match that for Newcastle, a big point in the bag, and well deserved. Could have been 3.
Definitely so, Steve. I mean, I've got to say, they went into the game, and I don't know if they do this on purpose, but being ex-football, I wouldn't have thought so. But they raised the game against better opposition. And I thought it was an outstanding display on Saturday, with obviously some great individual performances. But overall, the team performance was great. It was really, really good to watch. In a game that they didn't just earn the draw, or fought out draw, as they say, and backs against the wall draw. Were in the game to win the game, and could have quite easily won the game, and deservedly would have won the game, you know. And I just think showing that type of resilience to play, like, this is the team that's the best in our league because they won the championship. I'm sure Real Madrid would say they're not the best team in Europe because Real Madrid won that. But people have said, you know, arguably, that they could be the best team in the world, Man City, with the squad of players that they've got. So if Newcastle United can do that to the best team in the world, I just think it favours very well, and puts a little bit of all the negativity and a little bit of the doubt about where the season was going, because we hadn't performed so far this season, but definitely performed on Saturday.
We did. I mean, you know, obviously not taking anything away from Newcastle's performance, but, you know, Rodri was a big miss for Man City, as was De Bruyne.
Yeah, you can say that because they're two influential players. But when you get a look at their squad, Steve, there's umpteen players can play any of them positions, you know. They're that good because they've won things with them. I mean, the stats for Rodri and the performances when they've won games is unbelievable for one player to be involved. And that's not a fluke, you know, you can say that. And the things that they've got differentials in the middle of the park, players that without Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne couldn't play the way Kevin De Bruyne plays. He'd be the first to tell you that. So he unleashes a hell of a lot. I mean, you look at Grealish on Saturday, that played in that role, and there's 3 players probably going to take that position in that team. That's a treasure, you know, that Newcastle United haven't got. You know, the 3 players are arguably Foden and Doku, that were both on the bench, could have easily had that role that Jack Grealish played in. You know, so there's 3 vying for that one role, and it just shows the strength that them have got. But it's incredible to say that, all right, Rodri didn't play and De Bruyne didn't play. But hey, let's face it, like we always say, it's 11 against 11 on the day. And on that day, that was the best team that Pep Guardiola, who everybody calls the greatest manager in football, and arguably so. But, you know, it was the best team that they could put out. And Newcastle United put out a team, not just to draw with them, but a team that could actually beat them. And we deserve everything that we get out of that game on Saturday. And I just give a massive thumbs up to each and every one of them.
Yeah, I would agree, mate. I would agree. I mean, it's always difficult to pick a man of the match, Joe, but we were talking a little bit earlier this afternoon about this, and your man of the match was clear and obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, we said about last week about Liverpool and Slot saying about defending, and the Liverpool great defence, Ari, blah, 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 Van Dijk and all the rest of them. But I said, you defend from the front. That's what Slot said. And it's true. You have a look at the great sides that I've played in the past. One side figures for me when I was a Bayern growing up. And I used to watch AC Milan play when they were winning all the stuff that was there to be won. And everything started from AC Milan defending from the front. Anthony Gordon's display on Saturday. If there's kids watching, if the mums and dads are watching, show them the kids the performance of Anthony Gordon, because his tireless running, unselfish running, his general play, like we said last week, you're on the front of the string, you're in the front of the boat, and you're defending, you're going and you're taking everybody with you. It's not one man going on his own and saying, oh yeah, he's done well and he's run aimlessly. to work his socks off, shall we say, for want of a better word. But he's not only doing that, he's bringing everybody from the back. And you have a look at the back. What was brilliant for me, Gordon being that first man and everybody going with him. But you look at the gap that was created between our back four, right, and the front man, Erling Haaland. So Erling Haaland, hottest man in English football, if not the world. His goals for games ratio, unbelievable. Quality. But you have a look at Erling Haaland, right? This gap that Burn had, the pair of them shunting up behind him, but Anthony Gordon and everybody pressing together from the middle of the park, the full-backs pushing up. You have a look at Haaland's touch, by the way. For me, he's not world-class touch-wise. He hasn't got the touch of Alan Shearer. He hasn't got the touch of Peter Beardsley, without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm telling you, you look at him and putting them under pressure to hold the ball up and to bring their players into play. See how many times he was playing a 1-2 with the dugout, by the way. He was uncomfortable in that position. And I swear to you, and then that comes round to the all-round performance from Nick Pope as well, who was outstanding again. Point-blank saves that win you matches, you know. I mean, arguably their goalkeeper played very well as well. Joe Linton's Brazilian counterpart, the goalkeeper Edison, pulled off 2 quality saves, but saves that could have won the match for Newcastle United. That's what the pleasing thing was. And it just goes to show anybody in this league, I think, was 7th. So I've worked out, if we win all the games now, we've got to play the teams above it. We've got to play some of them twice. So if we win all the games, we win the league. Easy.
Leicester can do it. Newcastle United can do it. There's no doubt about it. You know, you mentioned Haaland. Let's talk a little bit about Erling Haaland. You're quite right. Got off to a wonderful start of the season. Quickest man to 10 in a Premier League season. Certainly somebody who's, you know, got a wonderful goals to game ratio. And if he was to stay at Man City, which I don't think he will, of course, I think he could easily beat Alan Shearer's record. But Newcastle snuffed him out again. He's only scored once against Newcastle. That's 5 games he's played. He missed the 2 others that his team played against Newcastle due to different reasons. But 1 goal against Newcastle. And again, I heard a lot of people coming out the ground saying, great game by Fabian Schär. He had Haaland in his back pocket. I heard other people saying, great game by Dan Burn. He had Haaland in his back pocket. Let's be honest. They did a double act. They were both brilliant. They both took their turns, and the communication between the 2 of them to make sure that Haaland didn't get a sniff. He had one half-hearted shot at goal. The frustration on his face was there for all to see. But Newcastle probably paved the way for other teams to show how you snuff him out.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I was just about to say it, Steve. You know, and it's now going to be what Newcastle did to stop Erling Haaland scoring. Was exactly what we just talked about, starting from the front and working hard and putting them under that much pressure to keep them in the game, because holding the ball up is a massive part of playing up front. You know, you've got to be holding the ball up and bringing people into play. I don't think he works hard enough at it. You can see by his touch. If we're going to criticise him, you know, he's not lightningly fast. He's as strong as a blooming ox. But I tell you, and his goal scoring is second to none at this minute of time. But you see his flaws in his game, and it's set a precedent for all the rest of the teams in the Premier League to say, if Newcastle played that way, maybe we should play against Manchester City like that. But like you say, it wasn't just Dan Burn or Shaw who were brilliant. The whole round performance from the goalkeeper all the way up front was outstanding for me. I was really, really over the moon, especially after watching, you know, somebody come close to beating Man City. For me, the only team I've seen over the last couple of seasons that's properly put them under a little bit of scrutiny has been the Arsenal. I've liked the way that Arsenal do it. I like the manager. I love the squad that he's got. It's unsung players and heroes in that squad that Arsenal have got, and they're a good side. But you have a look at how Arsenal played against them, and people say, they went down to 10 men in that game. I watched that game. Anything professional to do what Arsenal did to get that result that they did, and they nearly won and picked the 3 points up at Main Road, or the new ground, whatever they call it, right, that Etihad place. So whatever they've done there to put Man City under pressure is going to set the precedent for other teams to come and do that to Man City, because Arsenal should have won the game. And Newcastle United, I don't care what people say about, oh, they got the draw and whatever. We could have won that game. It was in our hands, and that was brilliant to see.
Yeah, great show as always, Steve. Joe's enthusiasm for the game is great to see. Like the days waiting to get into the Gallagher end as a Ben, I will cherish those days forever, says Jules. With regards to the Tonali performance, give us your views on that. I mean, there's been a call for him to start the game, to play the game, and he certainly did that. It was a fascinating duel with him and Grealish, to be honest. What did you make of that? What did you make of Tonali's performance as a whole?
Well, I'm going to start on the positive, Steve. Right, one, I loved him being in the team. I loved the formation that Eddie played. I know we didn't have Isak, but Anthony Gordon was that spark that set it all off, right? So we're talking about Tonali. His enthusiasm, his ability is unquestionable, right? I hate seeing that elbow into the chest and going down like a bag of spanners. I mean, I'm not having that, man. He's got to get that out of his game. He has to, One, it could be proven vital if a decision goes against you. One, he could get sent off if the referee doesn't see it the way it was. I mean, that's faking it, for me. And it's a sending off offence. Grealish, he's a worky ticket to start with. You don't want to be playing against Jack Grealish because his ability on the balls is good. He hasn't played the standards that he set himself. But he's a good player, Jack Grealish. He's clever as well. And, he had the referee. I mean, we can talk about his play against Trippier later on. But Tonali, for me, give him a run this side. Play him tonight. Please play him tonight so that he's getting games under his belt. We've paid a lot of money for somebody, but we've paid money for somebody that has got undoubted ability. I've seen some of the games he played when he played in Italy, and I'm not joking. He's a hell of a player. He really is. And his attitude's superb. But Tonali, please cut that bit out, the diving bit. We're not having that. We didn't like that.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. Penalties were the big talking point in the pubs around Newcastle after the game. And I think lots of us disagreed with each other. Even Alan Shearer felt that the one that we were given shouldn't have been a penalty. I've got to say I disagreed with him on that. I felt that was I thought that was a stonewalla. The intent was there, and I think the right result was given. I would have probably given one for the Joe Linton one. Joe Linton's penalty was probably more of a penalty than the Gordon was, but they were both penalties. I think we should have had two, and I think that would have seen us over the line. And I don't think it would have been undeserved to take all 3 points. I think hearing the Man City players come off saying, we're happy with a point, tells you they know they could have lost it. Stephen Kennedy has been in the chat a couple of times this week already and said we should have had 4 penalties. Where do you stand? What did you make of the penalty that was given? What about the ones that weren't given?
Well, the two that you've mentioned definitely for me were penalties. I mean, I've got to say it. I first agree with Alan Shearer without a shadow of a doubt, because when I saw it, I thought that's soft. It's a soft one. I hope we'll get it. I really do. And this is me agreeing with Gary Lineker, who, well, he's not my favourite, put it that way. Great player and all the rest of it, what have you. I played against him when he was squealing on the pitch, when he used to go down on the halfway line like a wet flannel. Honestly, I'm not being funny. And that's the truth. Squealing all day. He said he never got booked, but it's one game. I said, you've squealed all the time to the referee for decisions. This is when he's playing for Tottenham. I says, you've never been booked before. I can see why you've never been booked, because you're spending half your time twisting about bloody decisions. Anyway, I agree with Lineker as a forward going through. When you're going at any pace against a defender like that, all you've got to do is miss the goalkeeper, miss the centre half with that first touch like Gordon did. Because you're going at so much pace, it's the slightest little glance, the slightest little touch, and it's a penalty kick, because that deviates with you getting to the other side to get the ball. That's a penalty kick. So that was a stonewaller. On second looking at it, But I can see where Allon's coming from. But am I going to say I don't want the penalty? No, I'm not. 4 pens there, Mr. Kennedy. I don't know about 4. I'll meet you halfway. I'll say 3.
All right. Darren says, I thought the Gordon one was a penalty. Not sure about the J7 one from the replays. It might be the right call. Jopadini says, Wraithy, I think Gordon's pen was suspect. Joe Linton's was a perfect pen. And we should have had another. And Stephen Kennedy says, England refs are scared to give them. Refs on the continent give teams 2, 3, 4 penalties a game. If they're penalties, end of. So that's a point well made by Stephen this week. He's certainly got the bit between his teeth with regards to the penalties that we should have had. Got to ask you as well about Nick Pope. Again, we've covered most areas of the pitch, and we'll come to Trippier as well. Nick Pope's performance, again, when called upon, he was there with the good saves. I don't know whether he could have done better for the goal. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt on that. But again, his kicking is so poor compared. His kicking is probably reminds me very much of Tim Krul. Great shot stopper. And Sid mentions this on Talk of the Tune tomorrow night. Great shot stopper, but just suspect with the kicks. And it sometimes can drop us in it, and get us into a bit of bother. But, I mean, overall, Nick Pope is still in the middle of our goal and doing a good job.
He's as outstanding a shot stopper as I've seen in Shea Given. And I think he really is. And the size of him as well gives him that little bit more advantage than what Shea had. But I really, for the last few weeks, I wanted to say it without giving him criticism. But to be a goalkeeper now, you've got to basically be your next defender. So you've got to be good on the floor, good at kicking, the touch sort of thing. Yes, because it's vital, because you're starting playoff. I want to know, does he practice in an afternoon? I used to come back on afternoons training, right? And I swear to you, I did it because I loved it, not because it was a punishment, because I used to practice finishing. And even when I was at Hartlepool with Pop Robson, he scored 257 goals for Newcastle United League and Cup. Never got an England Cup. I was training with him every afternoon, just me, him, and a bag of balls and 2 cones, and we practiced. Does Nick Pope not practice his kicking? Does he not go to the goalkeeping coach and the goalkeeping setup and say, I'm struggling kicking here. I want to practice this. I want to practice my touch. When the balls are getting fired into us at the back, I want to be as competent as possible to set the game going and keeping momentum and keeping us playing. So I want to know if he practices. Because for me, there's a lot of players now I would have thought, don't do that thing that we used to do in afternoons, like I said, because it was a pleasure. Peter Beardsley used to stay behind and Gazza used to stay behind after training to practice. And if you look at examples like that and they become world-class players, you want to be like them. I just like Nick Pope. He's never going to be Peter Beardsley, by the way. No. But practice after training, your kicking and your touch, because your distribution now as a goalkeeper is vitally important to being our other defender.
Yeah, okay. Again, came in at right back. Tino Livramento wasn't selected. I thought him and Lewis Hall were superb at full back, and Trippier unavailable tonight, sadly. Not sure what he pulled up with. We thought it was cramp. Certainly it was in Tonali's case. Not sure whether he's aggravated something, Trippier, but it was another great performance from him. But Lewis Hall, at the age of 19, to play like that against one of the best teams in the world is certainly coming of age, Joe.
Well, he was my number 2 for man of the match, to tell you the truth, Steve. I thought Lewis Hall was absolutely superb, really did, in everything he'd done. And his attitude, and the more I see him, the more I like him, to be honest. And he could make that left-back roll himself. I mean, we've talked about full-backs in the last few weeks, but he could make that position his own. Trippier, I mean, I thought he was brilliant, right? That goal, people say, I dived in. One thing I'd say about Kieran Trippier on that decision, was he too honest? Jack Grealish, didn't kid yourself, Jack Grealish was lucky to get that. When he took that touch, his touch was rubbish. And he was lucky to get past trips. Trips went in, 9 times out of 10, he probably would have gotten that. In this one, Grealish is getting unlucky. Would Trippier have took him out? He could have easily found him. Fouled him, probably would have been a booking in that area. But it might have stopped the goal. Hindsight's a brilliant thing. Would Trippier, being honest, I found him very, very unlucky to not get the rub of the green, and Grealish got it. After that, you rightly say, could the goalkeeper have done better with the angle? And bearing in mind, the goal has went through, I believe, Tonali's legs. How many goals these days, in my day playing football, back in prehistoric times, the ball used to go through Fred Flintstone's legs. I mean, you know, like it was one of them jobs. How many goals are scored and the ball actually goes through the legs is unbelievable. I'd love to see the stats for him. That's one I'll leave you with, Steve, because I know you'll get the stats on that, how many balls actually go in through goalkeepers and centre-halves and defenders and midfielders' legs. But I didn't think, they're all saying about, it was a brilliant piece of finishing because he's a centre-half. Ali McCoy's given man of the match. I mean, I know it was Ali's birthday. He was 62 this week. And I used to like Ali McCoy because he played with Gaza at Rangers, and I loved him as a goal scorer, even though he played for the other people down the road at the early stage of his career before he seen the light. But to say that he's man of the match, Guardiola, for his goal and whatever, and Anthony Gordon wasn't, you know, for me, I find that baffling. But at the end of the day, it was his birthday, and maybe there was something stronger in his sherry tribal. I don't know.
Funnily enough, the stats don't cover goals through people's legs, Joe. But I did search it up there, and it's not on the Premier League website. But I'm sure somebody somewhere will have that. They do have lists of goals that have been scored from beyond 18 yards, etc. But yeah, how many goals?
I want you to check out for me how many goals are scored in the Pomo position. Now, the Pomo position was invented by Graham Taylor, God rest his soul, the ex-England manager. And the Pomo position was a position took up by a player called the position of maximum opportunity.
Right.
It was basically that far, if you can see on the camera, from the back post to the corner flag. And apparently there was more goals percentage-wise scored in that position. I'm leaving you with that one, the Pomo position.
The Pomo position. Yeah, very good. All right. We are going to have a quick ad break. Before we go into that, I do just want to promote the book, which we are going to promote all the way through to Christmas, and that is the 1992-1997 Kevin Keegan's Legacy, The Entertainers, written by Will Scott. I've done the interviews for this book. I interviewed over 30 people involved in that wonderful period at our club, and we are donating some of the proceeds of the first 200 copies sold to Dementia Matters. So hopefully we'll raise £1,000 for Dementia Matters. The book's $13.99. You can get it from newcastlelegends.com. And if you're going to buy one for yourself, buy one for somebody else who you know is a Newcastle fan. But ideally, if we can hit 200 sales by the time it gets to the 1st of November, that would do great. So we've got 4 weeks to do it. I think we've done 20 copies already. Big thanks to everybody who has already bought the book. But it is $13.99, and that's a fascinating book. And the questions that you want answered in there, we look back obviously at the season that Kevin came in and kept them up, the wonderful promotion season, and then of course the season we didn't win the league, which a lot of us want to know, why did the lads think we didn't win the league? Why did they think we blew it at the final hurdle? So all those questions are in there. Newcastlelegends.com is the place to go to if you want to buy a copy of that book. $13.99, comes out, as I say, 30th of November, just in time for Christmas. But you can pre-order it now from newcastlelegends.com. Okay, quick ad break now. We'll be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk.
Telephone 01768 210 102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel, Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. All excursions included, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, a 2-crew driver and courier. It's a local family company, and you can find them at www.unitedgrouptravel.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you want to help support the channel, hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up under the video. That's the like button. It does help us grow. And click the share button. Help share to your social media. If you want to join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month, then hit the join button under this video today. We also help the food bank on this channel. Visit nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. It takes you to the matchday bucket where you can donate some money virtually. Some events for your diary in aid of Dementia Matters. The Long Sands will be reforming and be supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band at the Cluny in Newcastle on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets are £15 pre-sale from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January 2025. Tickets available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. And an evening with the Entertainers takes place on the 24th of January 2025. Telephone the box office 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge at the Gateshead Leisure Centre is now open. 7 talk-ins for £99. Joe Allon will be hosting talk-ins with Lee Clark, John Anderson, Steve Howie, Darren Peacock, Supermac, Steve Watson, John Beresford, all between the dates of January and July. £99 for 7 talk-ins, newcastlelegends.com. Okay, welcome back, and big thank you to everybody watching today. 286 watching live, 220 of you on Twitter. Jump onto YouTube, search for NUFC Matters, hit the subscribe button. It is free, and it does us a big favour. And just a reminder, tomorrow night will also will be a pre-recorded show at 6 o'clock. I'm not going to be doing a live, but Talk of the Tune is already in the bag with Sid and Rob. And some interesting stuff on that show as well. Always good to get the lads on and their perspective, and Rob with a little bit of music as well. So look forward to that tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Just a little bit of news on Thursday as well. Still just me and Gibbo. Malcolm is out of hospital. He's on the recovery. Recovery from what he ended up with when he went into hospital, unfortunately. But he's still out at the moment. Long-term sick for us, I think. We're just going to have to take it week by week, but the good news is he's feeling a lot better, and he has been out and about. So with the aid of his crutches, I think, but he is on the mend. But me and Gibbo will be doing the show again Thursday 6 o'clock. 3 Amigos will be at 5 o'clock on Friday as normal, and then on Saturday we are going to be doing a watch along, but on a different platform. I will hopefully have the news about this and a bit of information about this on Friday's Amigos. Joe's going to join us as well for the watch along for the Everton game on Saturday, but it will be on a different platform to YouTube. It's just something we're going to try, something we've been asked to try by an American company. So we will see how it goes and keep you informed. A couple of comments. John Askew says 20 years ago the Gordon penalty wouldn't have been given, but these days it was certain. Any player in Gordon's position would have made the most of it because refs give a pen. And that brings it to Bernard's question. He's messaged in on Facebook from Felon. He says, Joe, what would you have done in that situation as a striker? Did you look to push on and score the goal, or would you go down looking for the penalty?
Well, I didn't think I mentioned about the explanation that Nick has said. As a forward, you've got to be looking for it. I'm not telling any lies. Of course you're looking for it. you're going to go down like the Titanic. Seriously. And if there's 52,000 behind you, saying to the ref, that's a pen, and you go down, hey, why not? I mean, as a forward, every single time. But that's not diving. You have had the slightest of touch. That's what we're saying. It's not diving. So we're not doing a Tonali, if you like. We're not doing that. What we're doing is getting the slightest of touch. If it deviates where you're going to get on the other end.
I know what you mean. That's it. I know exactly what you mean. I'm just laughing because Stephen Kennedy has just said, Steve, I've sent you an anecdote about Joe on Messenger that was too long to post here. Now, when I hear the word anecdote, I'm wondering, I'm thinking, now I managed to skim read this and it's safe, Joe, put it that way. Okay. I think you'll have a chuckle at it. When Joe was just breaking into the first team, we had a pre-season friendly at Gateshead. The night before this, the girl who I'd fancied for ages came up to me in the pub and stayed chatting to me all night. She was a Tyne fan. Great. I thought all my little ducks were falling in a row. She asked if I was going to the Gateshead game. She would have loved to have gone, but she didn't have anyone to take her. I said, let me drop you off tonight, and if you want, I'll pick you up tomorrow and we'll go together. But I'll have to leave on the final whistle as I'm on late shift. I picked her up. I took her to the game. I paid her in. I bought her refreshments. All she could talk about was bloody Joe Allon. Isn't he cute? Look at his thighs, etc., etc. As it came close to full time, I reminded her about a quick getaway, to which she told me, jog on. Being polite there. I'm going to get Joe's autograph and snog him. So I said, well, that's good to know, she said. Did you really think you had a chance with me? Grow up and smell the coffee. Joe, I had me heart broken because of you, mate.
I'm ever so sorry about that, Stephen, honestly. But to be honest, she had that, like, the one thing, you know, that all Geordie lasses have got. That's just, you know, you can't say no to. Politeness.
All right, okay. At least he apologised, Stephen. That's it. Alan Little as well wants to go back down memory lane. He says, I went to school with Paul Stevenson and Jeff Wrightson, Joe. I was a year above, like. He says, Steve-O loved himself. What's your memories of both of those players? And he also said, Steve-O scored for Millwall at Anfield. They actually won to go top of the old Division 1. Cascarino was up front with Steve-O supplying the crosses.
Yeah, I mean, both them, Jeff and Paul Stevenson, Jeff Wrightson as well, was integral in part of the FA Youth Cup squad. I always say it was a squad. And they went on to be great players. Steve, obviously, I got him to come and join me at Brentford because I knew when I went to Brentford as record signing, we didn't have very good wingers there. We had a young winger coming through called Marcus Gale, who was absolutely outstanding and went on to play for Wimbledon in the Premier League. But we didn't have anybody on the right-hand side. There was a player coming to the end of his career who played for Watford called Neil Smiley. And I knew Steve-O was unsettled at Millwall. So I begged the manager at Brentford, Phil Holder. I said, look, if you get him, I'll score you goals because he is guaranteed to make me crosses. And I mean, I've had this thing with wingers before, you know, and you know, you cuddle them and kiss them on the Saturday of the game, but you didn't talk to them through the week. Because let's face it, who won't be a winger? But the thing is, Paul was a brilliant forward. And I ended up, his stats at Brentford were in all league and cup appearances, 26 in 52. So scored 26 goals. And I bet you he made 10 of them. So my idea of Steve-O coming to Brentford was great for me. At Newcastle, it was a little bit of a strange one, but you'll see at the time, I think, Willie McFall was slashing the checkbook and he was bringing in players like Robertson from Hearts, Andy Thorne, Besant from Wimbledon. Lots of players that were close to around the £1 million mark, which is a hell of a lot of money for Newcastle to pay for players in them days. So Steve-O was offloaded to Millwall. He went for a couple $100,000, I think, and I got the bus down to Swansea, which was quite lonely, actually, getting all the way to Swansea on the bus on your own.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Thanks for the questions. Let's look ahead to tonight's game, Joe. Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup, of course, and it's a reverse fixture due to the pitch not being fit for purpose. And Newcastle, of course, have done their bit to help out the crowd funding page. £100,000 was their target. They managed to raise that. But tonight's game is a third round tie. It's a 7:45 kickoff, and a result must be achieved tonight. If the score is tied after 90 minutes, then a penalty shootout will take place. This will be the first domestic cup tie to James's Park this year. We've had 6 away draws in the Carabao Cup and in the FA Cup, and at stake is a 4th round home meeting with your old club Chelsea, with the EFL confirming that tie will take place at 7:45 on Wednesday, October the 30th, and that will be live on Sky Sports as well. Wimbledon have sold less than half of their 3,000 allocation in Level 7. Still good going for a League 2 team, though, and sections of the return tickets were placed on sale to members this week, so hopefully we will have a sellout stadium for this game, which is fascinating. Team news: Jamal Lascelles, Sven Botman, Lewis Miley, Callum Wilson, Matt Targett and Alexander Isak are all out. We also had confirmation yesterday Kieran Trippier won't make tonight's game. Sandro Tonali, question mark over him. Certainly was just cramped at the weekend. Will he play him? Won't he play him? I guess is the big question. We are expecting to see Emil Kraft, Miguel Miron, and potentially William Masula start tonight's game. As for AFC Wimbledon, well, Ryan Johnson is suspended. Jake Reeves and Aaron Sassu are doubtful. Johnny Jackson's Wombles have lost just once in 9 league and cup games this season, but they haven't played for the last 10 games for obvious 10 days, for obvious reasons. Jackson ended up on the winning side at St James's Park during his time as Spurs player. He came off the bench for the final seconds of a 1-0 Premier League away win in 2004. No VAR tonight, of course, would have been the Carabao Cup. Craig Portman was originally listed for the referee's job for this game at Plough Lane. Hasn't got the game tonight. It's Darren Bond from Lancashire, and this is his first game in charge of a Newcastle game during his Premier League career. He's overseen a home and away victory over Derby County in the Championship in 2016-2017. If you can't watch it on the telly, it will be live on BBC Radio Newcastle and on the Newcastle United app. This is a great opportunity for Newcastle now that the game has been reversed, Joe.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, Steve, there's 2 ways you can go about it. One, you can only beat what's in front of you. Yeah. And Newcastle, I'm sure the best 11 that they'll put out, they'll try the hardest, because it's a massive tie against Chelsea in the next round. It'll be brilliant. I can't wait for it. But let's beat Wimbledon first. The other way of looking about it is going at it lackadaisically. Now, the Wimbledon players, this is their cup final. The manager's been on Sky this morning. I saw him, Johnny Jackson, and he said this will be the pinnacle of his career if he beats Newcastle tonight. Now, the other thing is the Wimbledon players, I've been on both ends of this. I've been one of the high flyers, if you like, in Chelsea, playing against lowly Tranmere at Stamford Bridge. And they ended up getting a draw. And I've also been on the other end of the minnow, playing for Hartlepool against Tottenham at White Hart Lane. My little pal scored a hat-trick that game, Gaza. He was unplayable. But I had a really good game that night. And for all we got beat 4, I remember Don House saying to us when he was at Chelsea, and we coach at Chelsea, he went, "You got beat that night 4-0. He said, Gaza was brilliant. He said, but you were arguably as good a player on the park as him. And I thought, Don, you've been drinking on the side or something. I don't know what you mean. He said, it's adamant to see that your attitude, even though you're getting beat 4-0, your touch, playing against Gary Mabbott, England centre-half, and really playing well, he said, put you in the shop window. And 8 months later, I signed for Chelsea. So it's a cup final for Wimbledon, but every one of them players has a chance to shine. It's St James's Park. It's a full house. It's going to get massive worldwide attention. And if them players go out there and raise their game, on the night, it's 11 against 11. But being realistic, we'll have enough to come over Wimbledon and see Chelsea in the next time. And let's push past them and let's win a cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, it's a tough tie in the next round, but we never look ahead to that because, you know, we've got to get past Wimbledon first. We've got to give them the respect they deserve. I guess the one thing that's synonymous with Wimbledon, and I know the original Wimbledon became MK Dons and they moved to Milton Keynes. This team that we're playing, AFC Wimbledon, are a reincarnation of Wimbledon that the fans set up. But they do play out of Plough Lane. And I guess all our memories go back to that infamous game and that infamous day. And of course, now that infamous photograph.
That's the one.
Yeah. Amazing that, wasn't it? I mean, Newcastle played Wimbledon back to back in the Premier League and played them in the. I think they played them in the FA Cup as well. And of course, they faced them in 1988, 87, 88 in the FA Cup fifth round game. Got beat 3-1 at home. Wimbledon went on to win the final. The crazy gang beat the Culture Club, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I lived with Vinny for a hell of a long time, and when I first went into the house, we lived in a 2-bedroom semi-detached house in Hemel Hempstead. And I went in, and the first thing I saw over his fireplace was that picture that you just showed. Vinny had that up, and that was iconic as he'd gone. Vinny said to me that the picture went worldwide, that picture. Now, I'm going to put the record straight here because there was a player, and I don't know his name, but I'll take you back in time. We played Ashington at Portland Park in the Northumberland Senior Cup, and I was 16. And the centre-half that night did that to me with my family allowance well before Vinnie Jones had ever thought about it. And I tell you what, at the end of the game, we won 1-0, and I was lucky enough to score. And he said to us, the centre-half, who, I tell you what, he was as hard as goat's knees. He said to us, "You showed a lot of bollocks today, you." And I thought, Jesus, you should know. You had your hand on them for half the game. And I remember coming into the dressing room being a little bit in shock about that sort of treatment. And then the manager, Jack Charlton, said to us, "You did well." And I went, "Yeah." He went, "Count them, don't rub them." It was good advice. I thought I'd lost my family allowance because that bloke had my life in his hands.
Great stuff. All right. So tonight, Joe, you know, we know we're going to see one or two different phases. You would imagine Kraft is going to get everyone out. You would imagine Miguel Almiron is going to play some part. You would imagine potentially Martin Dubravka or another goalkeeper will feature. I think the player that we're all looking forward to potentially seeing have a bit more game time is the young striker, William Asula. What will he be going through if he does get a start tonight? You've been in that position. You wore the beloved number 9 shirt at our club. What will his mind be? And what advice would you give him? You know, if he does get a start tonight in front of a packed house at St James's.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant game if he does play or he gets a part of the game. The fact is, you know, he should be thinking. You know, he's played Anthony Gordon up front, who was outstanding. Don't get us wrong. He's a centre forward. How many midfield players is going to get injured before he gets a game? I mean, I was lucky even going to Chelsea, where there was 2 subs back in them days, not 32. That's on the bench these days. And I managed to score a couple of goals in my first 3 games. But it did take at least 2 months before I had my first start against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge. And in them days, there was like Kerry Dixon, and Kevin Wilson, who were international strikers, but I was pretty much in the pecking order as being a gamble, I would have said, coming from Hartlepool, in a fee that probably went to about $500,000. After the first 2 months, Kerry and Wilson weren't in great form. I obviously got a couple of starts then, but within a month, I'd been injured. They'd paid £2 million for Cascarino, £2 million for Fleck. And I think my 3 goals I scored in the first 6 games were better ratio than what them had. but only saying Asula now should be looking and thinking, this is my chance now. This is, I've had it. I think he's had a little bit experience playing for Derby, which is a lower league team now. They used to be fantastic. But also the fact that there's not an out-and-out centre forward to give him a start. So he's played for Sheffield United and he scored, you know, goals for Derby as well. So give him a start and let him go against this opposition, which, listen, it's not a walkover. I understand that. And I know what you're saying about we've got to beat everybody before we get on to the next team. We never come out and say it very often. I'm an honest lad. We'll beat Wimbledon by more than 3 goals tonight. And I hope Asula gets on the score sheet. Whether he comes on as a sub, give him at least half a game. But play him and give him a chance to see what he's all about. Games breed confidence to players. If you score a goal, I swear to you, your confidence then goes through the roof. And it might be just the sort of thing that'll just kickstart his career at Newcastle United. Because we have bought him. He is a relatively young lad. We know that. He's a Danish international under 21. But his experience isn't a great deal of experience for being 21. I think I'd played 100 games when I was 21. A lot of them have been played at lower levels, but I was playing games. Now, if you're going to buy him in a game like this, it's perfect to play him. It's a great opportunity for Asula to play.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Great stuff. Prediction then, you reckon 3 goals, 4 goals tonight for Newcastle?
Three goals at least. We'll win 3-0. It'll be too big, the game for Wimbledon, because Newcastle United, like I said, they're coming into the game. Whatever side Eddie puts out, you've got to remember there's a team that's got to be picked for Saturday. We'll come to Goodison Park later, but there's a team that's got to be picked to play. Now, I always thought when there was an opportunity to play in the first team, that was your chance to put your stamp on it. That was your chance to throw your hat in the ring and say, I'm going to score, or in my opinion, it was I'm going to score, and I'm going to make it impossible for you to leave me out. So that's what it's about when you're a fringe player, being on the outskirts, being on the sidelines, looking out, looking in. And you wanted advice for Asula, take your opportunity. Grab it by where that centre-half grabbed me. Grab it there. Oh, there. Grab it.
Stephen says, when I used to play, whoever was marking me at a set play, I'd nip both their nipples really hard and lose me marker. I had one lad running after the ref shouting, he nipped my nipples, ref.
No comment.
Jobadini says, Asula is told we've got crosses of the ball. He can hit the ball. It's perfect for him. Tom reckons it's going to be a 4-1 win. So Joe has been going through tonight in the next round of the Carabao Cup. And we do have a league game before we have Joe back. Newcastle take on Everton. This will be the last visit to Goodison Park. It's a 5:30 kickoff. It's live on Sky Sports. Early team news for that. Chimiti, Broja, Coleman and Patterson are all going to miss out for Everton. Bit too early for Newcastle, of course. We've got a game tonight. Beginning the season with 4 Premier League defeats, Sean Dyche's side picked up their first point with a 1-1 draw at Leicester City. And then last Saturday, they won their first game, beating Crystal Palace 2-1 at Goodison Park. Mark Gahey scored the consolation, as it turned out, for Crystal Palace. We do have notification of the referee for that game. Craig Pawson from South Yorkshire will be in charge. He took charge of the Southampton game at the start of the season and gave Fabian Schär a red card. He was supposed to be doing the Carabao Cup match, actually, had the game been played at Wimbledon, but he wasn't retained for tonight's game. VAR will be back in service again at the weekend. Chris Kavanagh is in charge. And just a little note for anyone going to Goodison for the final time. The 2106 Liverpool Lime Street train to Newcastle, that service will now terminate at York. An additional York to Newcastle service will depart, though, at 2307. There's no connection between these two train services. If you are travelling between Liverpool and Newcastle, you should travel on earlier train services to complete your journey. So just bear that in mind if you're travelling by train. So yeah, Premier League game. I'm pleased, I guess, Joe, that Everton got that win finally at the weekend, because that was haunting us. Anthony Gordon will be going down there with a point to prove, though.
Definitely sure. I mean, Dyche, for me, is a good manager. He's had a brilliant attitude. and he needed that win, I think, because, you know, they were having a pop at Everton. They were saying new owners and what have you, is Dyche's job under pressure, what have you. So it's going to be a tough place to go. But we're going in there buoyant. We're going there after a brilliant display against Man City and hopefully a very solid win tonight against Wimbledon. Taking a great squad there. Yes, we've got a few injuries, but Everton at Goodison Park, can we beat them? I think so. I think we can beat them. And it's not because Everton have been having a bad run. It's because we'll be going there with positive vibes. We'll be going there buoyant, like I say, coming off the back of the Man City performance. And also the fact that Everton aren't brilliant. They're really not. I mean, I've watched them quite deeply this season. I've been interested. There's a hell of a player who scored 2 for them last weekend. And I swear to you get a hold of him. I think he's O'Neill, his name. But you get a hold of him, and he's basically their threat. As in Calvert-Lewin, he's a poor man's Haaland. So if Dan Burn and Swar do that, we're set with Stall. It looks like Gordon's going to be playing up front. We're set with Stall, going out and attack from the front, set with Stall. And we'll be all right. We'll be all right at Everton, I think. Meaning all right as in 3 points.
Okay, what score did you go there? We just lost your internet. Just as you gave us your prediction, what do you reckon? Because Davey T says Everton are horrible to play against the Goodison. So much disruption in the game. What was your prediction, Joe?
I said 3 points, but I think it'll be a 1-0 win.
Oh, 1-0. Okay, so yeah, you think it could be tight. Stephen says, how mad is this? I don't rate Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he always performs against us. Yeah, it's a big game. It's a tough game. We got beat there last season. They will be up for it. But and of course, we know who waits in goal for us. You know, the England goalkeeper, the Mackham extraordinaire, Pickford will be waiting. But he gets carried away with what's going on in the crowd. So I think that's a positive for us. I always think it's a positive that he's in goal. But yeah, it'll be a tight game, Joe. I'll give my prediction on, as I always do, on the Superman and Gibbo show on Thursday night. Joe, fantastic. The clock has beaten us once again. Looking forward to catching up with you again next week. Have a good week, whatever you're doing, Joe.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thanks everybody for watching. Again, it's a pleasure for me to be here. And remember, everybody can have their opinions. It's not all about me. And also a big thanks to everybody that donates for Dementia Matters. It means a lot. Thank you.